once you put pressure on the marriage, then it puts pressure on the relationship that you have together. And once that is there, it's very difficult to love each other the way that you're supposed to.
To see things in a way that in retrospect or a few years later when you're looking back and they realize that.
Today is a very special episode. I've got two lovebirds on this interview, and since it's Valentine's, it's appropriate. These two fell in love at a very young age and they actually got married. And today we're in a society where young people no longer believe in marriage. They're here to enlighten us on their marriage, their journey, their experience, what they've learned, and some of the challenges, and also to just fill us in on who they are as individuals. Welcome to Conversations with Mpho Mr&Mrs Chonco.
Thank you.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us on your show. It's
a pleasure.
It's a privilege and an honor. We really do appreciate it.
I'm excited. I'm hopefully I'll learn, and yeah. So let's start off with a bit of history. I mean, you guys got married, but where did it all begin?
You want to kick it off?
We have two versions of the story, so which one do you want to hear?
Let's hear both versions.
Okay, pick your first version.
You're such a correct
Okay, so yeah, no, she likes to do this. Anyway, so we first met. So I went to Pretoria Boys High School. So we first met after a basketball game. And she was a friend of one of my teammates.
Yeah, she came to watch another guy.
Yeah, she had come to the game to watch another guy, but. Yeah, that's where we met. We met after the game, and then we met a couple of times afterwards, and that's basically where things kicked off. But that's where we first met.
And then after we matriculated in 2012, so 2013 we took like a year of our life to God, where we were doing ministry and that kind of thing, and that's where we officially kind of like kicked off our courtship.
Yeah,
went to our pastors, and we like each other. Guys always do this thing with pastors, hey? Like
with pastors, I agree.
These are shady.
Let's talk about courtship. What's the definition of courtship? Because I've heard so many definitions. Let me tell you about the definition I've heard.
Sure.
The definition of courtship that I've heard is about like one of those prayer mamas in the church. So like our mama who pray, you know, they must always be present whenever you guys go on a date. You know, to make sure that there's nothing dodgy happening. And like, so I haven't really heard a solid definition. All the definitions I've heard have been very vague. So what is the definition of courtship?
Okay, well, according to us, courtship is just when you submit your relationships to your pastor. So you do have somebody overseeing you, but it's not like our mom. I mean, who has time to do that? You know? But generally, you'd be hanging out in a setting with like other friends, and of course.
Or when you go out for dates.
Yes. So instead of the one-on-one, I can also remember when I'm just dating you, you can pretend to be this person. But if you're in your natural setting with your friends, then it also gives me a glimpse to see who you are.
Yeah. Here am I thinking the reason why you do it in front of people is because you're stopping some sort of intimacy going wrong.
There's also that side to the story, actually.
Okay.
So the other thing with courtship is like you're saying, there can be those type of moments. So you do want to try and avoid those. It's not to say that you can't go on a date where you're having dinner just one-on-one, because those times are also needed to get to know another person at a deeper level. And if you don't do that, you'll never get to know the person enough to actually love them eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like you're saying, it's group setting as well as individual settings, but that's where self-discipline comes in as well, you know?
Because you can't always be running away from sin. Like, when are you actually going to confront it? Do you know what I mean? So
but what are the rules in courtship?
Well, I mean, you see, this is where it gets tricky, because now
everything that's in the Bible, everything that the Bible says as a standard first and foremost.
Okay.
The Bible doesn't have 90 days rules like Steve Harvey. I know Steve Harvey has like a
I've heard of the 90-day rule where it's no sex in the first 90 days of dating because it
clouds your judgment.
Okay. So there's no 90-day rule.
There's no 90-day rule. It's basically what the Bible says. So the Bible doesn't.
No sex before marriage.
No sex before marriage.
And the boundaries that people try and push.
Like, I mean, it's different for everyone. Like for us, we set some boundaries for ourselves.
Yeah.
And one of those, for example, was like, I wouldn't want to go into a car alone with her.
Yeah, he refused.
I see.
Yeah, be feeling like Jezebel. Like,
it wasn't like that. But I like because you're honest with yourself to say this for me is a limit.
Yeah. So
that's beautiful.
So we did set those type of boundaries, you know.
Yeah.
And it did help us, you know.
Shucks, guys, I'm inspired. Like, very inspirational. Okay. And how long was the courtship?
Yeah. So,
Well, we started in 2013, eh?
yeah. It was in 2013. And then, just correct me if I'm wrong, but the first time when we had started speaking to our parents about marriage very early on, because I think another thing just to mention quickly, lastly, about courtship is that when you're courting someone with the intention to marry them. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong. They just think they just want to date someone, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
There's the possibility of not working out, but when you go into courtship, it's going into it with the mindset and the idea, okay, I'm marrying this girl or I'm marrying this man, you know what I mean? So that's important. But we spoke to our pastors and our parents very early on, and we did indicate, listen, we do want to get married. Our pastors initially did say that we were too young. I spoke to like our parents as well.
Oh wow, how young were you guys when you wanted to get married?
Dude, what was that, 2013? So we were 19. Yeah.
You wanted to get married at 19?
Yeah, but remember, the thing I think about it is that
Yeah.
personally with me, like, it's just been something I've been preparing for. Like, I didn't date
At
throughout my high
19?
school. No, like before that. Like, I had a personal pact with God. I think I made it in 2004. I was in grade 4. I think I was 10 years old. I personally, like on my own, I just had made a personal pact with God that I'm not going to date until I was 21. So already, I was already in that frame of mind. So like, for me, it was a long wait. But if somebody asked me, it sounds like, oh, you were so young. But I don't know, I was already prepared. Already reading books on dating, marriage, asking married people. Those things you need to research it.
And it's important. I agree with you, the books.
I'm not enough.
I need to buy the books.
We need to buy the
Note
books.
to self. Guys, get the books. If you're single, get the books. What books, by the way? Which books?
Well, okay, you can go ahead
I'm
there
the reader,
because
yes.
she's...
But
now you read.
What book gave you the right knowledge on how to do this relationship?
Joshua Harris. I don't know if you know, if you're familiar with Joshua Harris.
I'm not.
Yeah.
He has a book called I Kissed Dating Goodbye. And
I
funny
Kissed
enough,
Dating
I Kissed
Goodbye.
Dating Goodbye. Funny enough, he wrote it when he was 21, just like your Bitcoin story. Like, I don't know, something around 21. I don't know. It's just like,
I Kissed Dating Goodbye.
I Kissed Dating Goodbye. It's very controversial because he's since denounced it, but I don't know, it helped me. Like for me, it brought about great results.
Yeah.
So I have no complaints with that book. So just,
I'll have a look at
just the things that he mentioned, because I mean, you know, sometimes you think you're working on this journey and people think you're weird, and then when you find somebody in America who's doing the exact same thing that you're doing, you're like, oh, okay.
It's okay.
Why don't I write a book actually?
So yesterday on Twitter, there was this trend going on where everybody's talking about ghosting, you know, and they were saying that, the very short version of it is that in relationships, people get into a relationship with someone and then they just ghost them. They just delete them or block them, I think, or ignore, stop talking to them.
Yeah.
And people were saying there's so much trauma around relationships, and, you know, people were sort of saying, okay, relationships are a tricky ground, very dangerous ground.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the path you chose?
The path we chose.
Yeah, because it's quite a different path that you chose.
I think it was a beautiful journey, honestly. I think over the time we really did get to learn a lot about each other.
Was there any ghosting, by the way?
No, there was never any
kind of
ghosting.
No, like with us, we're
was
very
never any
like
ghosting.
transparent people. Like what you get is what you see. Like
Genuine.
we're not chameleons.
Like,
What do you think the
yeah.
world gets wrong? The majority of young people gets wrong in
in terms of
relationships.
that.
I think that's very hard to say. I think it's very specific to each relationship and each individual. And whenever I speak, I always try not to make generalizations, because when it comes to relationships, you're speaking about people. And when you're speaking about people, you're speaking about uniqueness and difference in each and every single individual. There are similarities over the board which we can speak about, but you are different to me.
Very true.
And how you relate to certain things is different. So I think it's very different.
What they're getting wrong is people are selfish. And like, I think also because people are hurt, now they want to hurt people. So now I get into a relationship with you and Pom hurt me. And now, you know, I'm bringing my trauma, you bring your trauma, you don't trust girls.
Very true,
all these things. So now we're
yeah,
just perpetuating the cycle that it just becomes so toxic, you know?
Very true.
So I think what we need to do, I think guys are generations, I think we need to, I saw you also did something on mental health and whatnot, right?
Yes, yeah.
I think we need to start with psychologists, guys. And I think we need to unpack all these things. Like, you know, because even in our country, like how people are raised, where, you know, there are a lot of single mother homes, right? So people don't have father figures, so they also don't know what to look for. 100%. And maybe, you know, we then tend to maybe lean to sugar daddies and that kind of thing. So I think just introspection, if we just like look into ourselves, and then also, because sometimes you're really not ready to be in a relationship. I mean, if you're still nursing wounds from 2013, should you really be wasting another person's time?
You know,
and
exactly.
why are you ghosting? And I feel like this ghosting thing, I feel like somehow it's got to do with sex. Like, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
So after the sex, they ghost one another.
That's what I think, because I don't think there's no reason. Because like, I don't think a guy would just start ghosting you for no apparent reason. Right? Because you guys ghost until you get what you want.
I see. Yeah, I see.
There is
You've
truth,
said a lot
there
of
is
things that we
truth,
need to. Lots of truth. A lot of things we need to unpack. So I spoke to a friend of mine about relationships, and this friend of mine said something that sort of triggered me and was very problematic. Sure. He said to me that if you're not playing the game, it doesn't mean you're not on the field, right? And what he was referring to is, in a relationship, everybody's plays some sort of game. Right? Like, okay, maybe the one's playing the hard to get game, the other one is playing the game, whatever game they're playing, you know. And he was saying that even if you're not playing the game, if you're going into a relationship and you're saying, I'm open, I'm honest, I'm transparent, he was saying that other person is playing the game. So the fact that you're not playing the game, you're still on the soccer field, so they'll dribble you, you know, and these are the terms that you hear being used, etc. And I just brought back everything that you've just opened up to say, perhaps as human beings we are hurt, and perhaps as human beings we've got all these
Actually, want to add something. In the soccer game, we have coaches, right?
We do.
Coaches are there to facilitate.
The game,
and umpires and referees.
But would we call relationships a game?
No.
I wouldn't call it a game.
It's not a game.
It's
far from a game.
Man,
it is life, right?
It's
emotions.
I think what we need to understand is relationships, and I know you want to speak about marriage, so let's maybe just touch on that then.
Yeah.
So marriage is something it's God ordained. And I don't think anything that's God ordained and God built is supposed to be taken lightly or as a game. And I think that's where the problem comes in. Now we go back to relationships. Relationships as well, it's also like fully biblical as well. And the Bible teaches us how to have proper relationships with people. Yeah. Maybe we avoid that advice, or maybe we're hurt, like you were saying, and we bring that hurt into other relationships. But I don't think relationships is to be taken lightly and is a game. Definitely not. Yeah.
So what I just wanted to add back to the game, the soccer field, since we're doing soccer, I don't watch soccer.
Okay.
But referees in Empire, right? So they're also there, even though they're not in the game, they're not actively participating, but they're there to make sure that everything goes right. So for us, that's where we would include our pastors and our parents. So people that are older than you that can advise you and see blind spots. Like maybe I bring a guy home and I'm like, I like this guy. And then my mom, I mean, she's also lived for like 40 years. She's seen niggas. She's been around the block. She's like, you know,
sweating. That's not here.
So then that's why we didn't have our coaches and our pastors, because then they're there to guide us. So
but perhaps let's just delve into this a bit more and make it more practical, right? Sure. For the young girl, the young boy who's watching, or even for the old person, because I mean, we find 35-year-olds that are not married, right? That are looking into marriage. When you say the pastor include, I like the pastor one because I feel like he's objective. The parents one is a bit.
I hear what you're saying, but I think that's why wouldn't you include both parents so that it's like.
But don't we include the parents when it's time for lobola?
But personally, I hear people do that, right? A lot of us do this in African culture, but guys, I honestly, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, why are my parents just okay with me seeing some guy and they don't know who he is? And then they
must be part of the dating process with you.
I'm not saying mine.
I think this is.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying you need to just relook this, because how are you just giving off your daughter to someone what, on the basis of what he has a car in the house? Okay, you can marry my daughter. So for me, it's always been like, I don't know, guys, shouldn't we be a little bit more involved? Not involved to like.
That extent like, okay, where you're going, what you're doing, like.
Not like that, but just having an understanding.
The guidance being there.
It's like a bird's eye view, like, look, just to give like wisdom and guidance, like, you know, like to guide like a young couple, because there's certain things, you know, as an old person that they won't know. And there's certain things, like, it's like a mentor, like the mentor is there to ensure that you can get to where they are faster than they did.
Very true, right?
So it's like with the parents or the pastor, they are there. Well, I mean, depending on like whatever like stage in life they are there to ensure you get to where they are, or even surpass them faster than they did, or better than they did.
Definitely.
So now you can avoid the potholes and you can avoid the things that they did that you know
You don't need to fall
and
into.
most times, to be honest, we already know some of those things, but
that's true.
we try and avoid them.
Yeah.
Like having sex before marriage, for example. It's a touchy subject, but let's talk about it because
Can we talk about it right
talk
now?
about it.
The test driving concept.
People are not cars. People are not
No,
cars.
100%.
But what about that viewer that's watching and is thinking, this is very fluffy. Like, is this even practical? Is this doable?
It is.
Did you guys do it? Can we have that question?
You can have that question, and no, we didn't.
So you guys did not have sex before marriage?
100%, yeah.
We have witnesses, don't worry. They will tell you, no, we didn't.
No, that's a great achievement in this day
And I
and
think
age.
what's important is that's where it comes back to again. It's that dating and I guess courtship, if you want to call that process. It's like there were the boundaries there. That's why we didn't get to that point.
You intentionally set the
where-
boundaries.
Exactly. You
And you
intentionally.
set them before. You don't set
Yeah,
them like
yeah.
in the heat of the moment. Like, okay, now.
Yeah, because
At that point, your flesh is already over there.
yeah.
The boundaries will be very...
Yeah, that's
Okay.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think also some of these things you start practicing them in dating, because I mean now if you're so used to going to your guy's place and staying there over the night, and you know you make these things a part of your habit, and then next thing let's move in together, let's save money, and then next thing you know it's a fat and set. It's not becoming a marriage.
Yeah.
What I like-
Personally,
yeah.
as a girl, like I think for me, sex before marriage, for me, like yeah, I knew guys, and I know guys can be a bit lit, you know. You guys
very
know
pushy.
yourselves. You guys
Yeah.
are very manipulative. You guys can like read us, and you guys can like, you know, play on our emotions. I'm not saying he did.
But in
I
this
just
day and
have
age, I think
another
it's on
friend.
both sides. In this day and age,
Yeah,
I
because
think
now women are also fed
women,
up.
yeah,
They'll
women
be
are
fed
like,
up.
yeah.
But remember, Mpho,
Yeah.
the onus is on the guy to lead. You're going to be the head of the marriage, not the
Very
woman.
interesting.
This
We
is-
need
this
to
is a
talk
very
about. We need to
important
talk
point,
about the
yeah.
leading.
This is a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
important
yeah. I
point.
believe in it so strongly, and I find the feminist movement to be very problematic around those areas. But we'll talk about it. You can finish your point.
Yeah. Where was I? So you threw me off now. So personally, I knew how guys were. So personally,
Yeah.
I was just like, nah. Because I mean, growing up, you do have that aunt and that uncle or that cousin and what that are fat and setting. You know, like we grew up around these things, and then you're like, nah. But why is this one not becoming a marriage? You know. And then I was studying law. Studying BCom law, and then also in terms of the estate and how the estate gets messed up, because now you're living with someone, you're not married to them, they were caught, but now they've had to make a provision for partnerships. And it's like, but what is that? Like, it's like a half marriage, or like, what is that? Like, or, and also then when you start talking to guys, then you realize that guys actually know what they want. And if they want to marry you, and if you are it, then they'll marry you. And if they don't want you, then they'll just string you along and give you like whatever reasons and that kind of thing. So for me personally, when I evaluated and I looked at this, and I'm like, why? I don't have a reason to just sleep with a guy that's just gonna leave. And also because women, we're also very emotional. I'm not giving off myself one time and then I'm never gonna see you again. Why would I do that? Like, and then now I have a child. And then that's also another thing. I don't want to bring up a child with no father figure. Like, you know, I mean, I know a lot of my friends, they don't have dads, or their dads are not present, or dads are just denying their kids. I don't know what's happening in this world, guys.
And it's
but
very prevalent.
you know what I'm
Africa,
saying? Yeah. So then I was just like, do I really want to do that? I mean, my child's not going to decide to be born, but I can make a decision to bring a child into this world. So, you know, just so I don't know. I had long-term thinking, always thinking about my future generations to come and the kind of legacy I want to leave behind. So because of all these things, I was like, I don't know if sex is worth it. I mean, it's just a pleasure. It's just like moment of pleasure, you know? And I don't wanna
So rather stop yourself from doing it and do it properly in marriage.
Yeah, because in marriage you can have it like so many times, and God's not even bothered by it. Like, guys, there's a hell, you know, but like God's not even bothered. You can have sex 24 hours a day if you want when you're married. Like, really, like this is
Oh, wow.
really, like, let's just be real for a minute, because I think people, I don't know, you're like chasing this thing to have sex with a human being that hasn't even made a commitment. And we know how guys are. We know they're ghosting us, but yet we still go, why? Why do you put yourself through that? Like, I don't understand.
These are important questions,
Yeah, I mean, of course, sex is going to be pleasurable for both parties, but it doesn't mean that you should not, like, degrade yourself in a sense.
Yeah,
you know, not to say that, I mean, patriarchy people mustn't come for me, but you know what I mean? Like, just having boundaries as a woman and just knowing exactly what you want and putting what you want on the table, because there are guys out there that will marry you. But I mean, if you're with everyone and that kind of thing. So because of that, these reasons, I was just like, I don't think the sex thing is going to work for me. And also, where was I going to have sex with this person not being married to them? Like, in whose house? You know? I just didn't know. I mean, now things are changing. Guys are living on their own.
People watching who are like, trust.
I know, I wasn't doing it on my face.
Let's talk about marriage. Let's go into marriage. And I think let's start with the tough thing, right? Which is the leadership in marriage. I mean, we've already touched on it. The man is supposed to lead in marriage. Let's talk about that.
Sure.
Do you want to start?
What do you want to know exactly about it?
I think let's. So a lot of people are very. And I think the feminist movement is very active and vocal in saying that this leadership thing should not be there, right? That both parties should lead, and that they should do it together, etc. You know, and I mean we're Christians, so in the church environment, it's the man is the head of the house, the head of the family, right? And it's not that the woman is necessarily a follower, but that that she submits
to
under
her
the
husband.
man, and her husband loves her, right? I think what is your approach? I mean, practically in the marriage.
Okay, so I think, I mean, like, anything with two heads is a monster. Let's just start there. Two heads is a monster.
Sorry, I'm busy laughing at the image. I'm like, okay.
So you can't have two heads. I mean, practically, even an organization. Which organization has two CEOs?
This is very profound. Which organization has two CEOs?
They don't.
always
They
have
have a
a
CFO and a
Yes,
They all have
there's
different
one
delegations.
CEO that...
There's one CEO that just keeps everything. And also, just because you're the CEO, it also doesn't necessarily mean that you're the owner of the company, right?
Very true,
So
yeah.
you can be the founder, but not be the CEO. It can still be yours, but you're not the
100%.
Yes,
chief executive officer. So same things with that, guys. It's just to establish order, and it's not even like a oppressive thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I think also when we hear submission, I don't know, we think there's a man that's just waiting to tell you what to do. First of all, I don't know what kind of man you guys are marrying, but it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Like, why does my husband need to be like, you know, like, why can't I mean, I'm blessed really, but I mean, I think also maybe because I also married my friend. So I get to be myself. He's not like, you can't show your shoulder, or you can't wear makeup, or you must veil yourself. There's none of that. Like, I get to be myself. Like, in my marriage, I'm growing. I'm still myself. I still like to do the things that Tippy likes to do, and that kind of thing. So for me, submission, it's not like a bad word. It's just for like direction. It's just like one vision, like company, guys. Just think company. Company has one CEO, the one person that's just gathering us all together on the table, and then we're like, okay, we meet with the executive team. This is what we're doing. Are we on board? We discuss things. We talk about things. You know, I don't know if you want to add something.
I like that.
I think the way God has set it up as he's done it in a specific way where the man is supposed to lead. And I think if you look throughout the Bible, there's certain things that God has put into place for a reason. And he knows those reasons why he's put the man to lead in certain situations. The man in certain situations, I won't say all the time, has a certain resolve that is required in the marriage to lead the wife through certain situations and certain troubles. Sometimes the wife might come to the forefront and be like, okay, if the husband's going through a challenging time or whatever, sometimes the wife will come to the forefront. Doesn't mean the husband is still not the leader. I think one thing we need to realize as well with the leader is that the leader is there to bring like a vision and a direction for where something is going. So the CEO gives direction to the company of where it is going. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing in marriage as well. As a husband, you're supposed to give direction and vision to where the marriage is going, as well as your lives individually, as well as coupled. There's certain things that she's doing that I'm helping with, certain things I'm doing that she's helping me with, but at the same time, there's certain things that we're doing together. And also those things together, there's certain things that we're working on our marriage in total. So I think we need to realize that there's a lot of different parts that go into it all. You know what I mean? So essentially, as the leader, you're there to bring the vision and the direction. You're there as well to take the blows because you are the leader. You are the shield. You are the forefront. You're like the one who stands in front, and you're the protector. That's just
I just died.
just
I just like hit him first and then
and that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way just that God has made it, and He's made it in that way for a certain reason.
And also, we shouldn't half read the Bible, because also in Peter it says that you guys are equal before Christ. So I think that's the verse that people forget. They just go in the submit. It also says we're equal. So.
I think, can I just touch on the submitting thing for a bit? I think a big issue why people have a problem with submitting is like you were saying, we need to dive in and be more introspect some more, because the person doesn't want to submit because they've seen in the past
it being done wrong,
being done wrong, and maybe they've tried to submit before but they got hurt, but doesn't mean the man that you're with now is going to hurt you. So you have that responsibility as the wife to submit, but at the same time the husband has the responsibility to lead as well. There's both two different responsibilities, and I think maybe this is where, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, where the issue comes in with the whole like feminist thing is the women feel like they've also been called to be the leaders, and then the men are also called to be the leaders. But what does the Bible say? It says that the men have called to be the leaders, the wives have been called to submit. And there's two different responsibilities, and I think we want to take responsibilities from different roles that have been God ordained and specifically given for certain people to do certain things, and we want to take on that responsibility when you are not called or gifted to be able to do that. So I think that's where we find the issue with women and with men as well. So another thing, one more thing is, are you as a husband playing the role of a leader correctly in order for your wife to submit to you? It's not easy to submit to a leader who is not leading you correctly. It is still possible, but it is not easy. So our responsibility as husbands as well is to lead in such a manner that our wives want to submit to us. When we serve God, we want to submit to Him. Why? Because He's a loving God. And what does it say in the Bible? It says that that husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. So what does that mean? Now we need to love our wives as Christ loved the church. If my wife loves God and can submit to God easily, and she can't submit to me easily, it's more a question of, what am I doing as a husband wrong that she's not able to submit to me
That's profound,
in the way that she's not to compare myself to Jesus or God, but do you understand where I'm trying to go with it? It's very important to then look at yourself as the husband, because we always talk about the woman, but then the men are left out of the equation. But the men are actually the ones who are supposed to be leading everything. And as the leader, it is your responsibility as well to make sure that you're leading in the right way, to ensure that whoever is submitted under you is not only taken care of, but can also submit to you in the correct way.
I just want to add one more thing before you say something.
Sure, you guys are marriage counselors, youth pastors, all of this is coming out. I'm like, when am I joining the church?
Wow.
But I just say that there's also Proverbs 31. And even if you read in Proverbs 31, that woman is busy. Like, she's in real estate, she's sewing, she's like a business magnate. She's doing a lot of things. So, like, and her husband praises her. That's also another thing that people forget. The husband's praising her. So even in that context, there's still submission, because it's almost like her husband doesn't exist. You would think she's a feminist. So I think we should maybe stick to scriptural texts and just see like what this woman was doing. She was busy. Like, no way did her husband hamper her on her business ventures. No way did 100%. Her husband stop her from being great. You know, I mean, I don't know. If I was reading that, it almost looks like she was earning more than her husband. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. Like, guys, don't come for me. I didn't study theology.
I love that.
I'm just saying that, you know, it doesn't like, it's not supposed to hamper on you. I mean, if you're in the boardroom, you're an exec, that's what you do. That's your work. That's your profession. That's your vacation. But if you're at home, then this is a marriage. This is a different thing. I'm gonna see you in my marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are there to serve my husband, and eventually we have children as well, and we bring them into this, that kind of thing. I just wanted to add.
Just one more thing there. I think we also need to realize.
Whoa!
Sorry. Just the last thing. I will stop over here. And you can continue immediately. Is that we need to realize as well that the woman, although they are submitted, they, like you were saying, is equal. So, like I was saying, like, it's a part thing. So I'm a leader, you're submitted, but at the same time, we have our own individual giftings and powers and talents and certain things that we are good at. You may find that my wife may earn more than me, but I'm still the leader. It doesn't mean now, and I think that's where maybe pride and ego comes into the man. And men are known for being prideful and egotistic because they feel like because I'm the leader and because I am the man of the house, I need to be the one earning the most. I need to, and it's a conversation. It's tricky. I was like this as well, just to give like a personal thing. I was just like, because we went on dates sometimes. I didn't have cash and she would pay. And it would be awkward. I'd be like, I'm trying to pay, like I feel like this is my responsibility. But it shouldn't come to the point where you are now feel like you are now less called to become a leader because someone is gifted to do something certain that God has called him to do that could possibly bring in finances that maybe you were called to be something different. You know what I mean? So
it's profound. It reminds me of Joyce Meyer and her husband. Joyce Meyer is the actual pastor of the church, and the husband is just there to support.
Yes.
But she submits to her husband.
She does, definitely.
That's the
pastor.
important.
She always she tells us about it.
Okay, sorry. Please
So let's talk about the marriage. I mean, there must be things that married people do to nurture the marriage, sustain the marriage, and I mean, I wouldn't know. So what are some of the things that you guys do to nurture and grow the marriage?
What tends to happen, people get married, they date and they do all these things and waste money, blah, blah. Okay, not waste money. But they what I mean by waste money. No, not the honeymoon, but just like pre-marriage. And then after they get married, then they just
the dates.
Stop.
I agree. Dates are very expensive. We need to stop this.
Okay, if you stop them, continue the minute you say I do.
Yeah.
Because that's what
I see.
They are important, yes.
After I do, it's like I'm done. I don't know. It's like you say I do, then the husband.
So dates and
I'm
marriage are
you
good.
have to date in marriage.
100%.
So Tuesday is date night.
Yeah, like you have to date. Like first of all, dating is cheaper than divorce. And every time you do date, it's like literally a seed being taken away that could potentially lead to a divorce.
I see.
You disconnect.
Okay,
You have
so that
children.
connection, that going out, that dressing up.
Yeah.
So this is the question you need to ask yourself. How did I get to know this person? How did I get to love this person? And if you can answer those questions before you get married and whilst you're in marriage, then you can say, okay, why don't I keep doing those things?
As I think about my grandparents' marriage and everybody, and I'm like, they don't go on dates.
But it's not to hamper on them or say that they're doing something wrong or anything like that.
No, but I agree with this. I think it makes
You
sense.
need to nurture
100%.
it.
So you do need to know.
Yeah, because the thing is, I always say that marriage it's you. Like people tend to think that marriage is a thing that you walk into that you find, which is either bad or good. But they don't realize that a marriage is moldless. It's like flubber. Literally, when it takes the shape of whatever thing is in it.
You mold it into
the marriage takes the shape of you. The marriage. So the thing is, you need to nurture the marriage. You need to make it a great marriage. Nobody just walks in and marriage is great. It's not a house. Marriage is not a house. You need to work on it. You need to work on it. So that's why all these dates and all these things and nurturing and talking it helps, because sometimes you get into a rut of things. You don't talk anymore. You get busy and then you drift apart, and then kids come and then kids become the central focus, but you don't realize that these kids are only with you for 18 years, 19, and they're moving out.
Gone,
and then you still have the marriage. So now do you really want to put this thing on pause for 18 years for people that are going to leave? And then also, because these are things that also kind of happen to our parents' marriages as well, became the central focus, and it shouldn't be like that, because even in you loving your wife, your kids learn from that as 100%. Well. So you don't put this on pause. You have to always work on it. Like there's no marriage. It's not automatic, and there are no buttons that you can just push to make it a great marriage. But the minute you take everything out, then the minute it just disintegrates, and then it just, now suddenly you're not talking anymore. I don't know this person.
What was the difference between before marriage and after marriage in terms of responsibilities? What changed?
Adulting.
Woo,
adulting, hey?
When you're alone, you're alone. You have your own responsibilities. You can take care of yourself. You can go a day with just chowing whatever you want. But now when you're married, you have different responsibilities as husband and as wife to do certain things or to be a certain type of person in order to provide for the sustenance of not only the household, but the marriage and the family. So it's very important to understand that when you come, when we're saying the date, you should date in marriage, obviously it's the date nights and stuff, but it should still be that romance and stuff. But at the same time, there's another aspect of, okay, now we're married. There's certain responsibilities that we need to take on together in order to make sure that we don't put pressure on the marriage. So a lot of times what does put pressure on the marriage is finances. And those conversations aren't always easy to have, but they're required to have in order to remove that pressure. Because once you put pressure on the marriage, then it puts pressure on the relationship that you have together. And once that is there, it's very difficult to love each other the way that you're supposed to. I don't know if you want to just like add.
No, like
That's very profound, yeah.
I fully
Very,
agree.
very profound.
I guess so. Yeah, in marriage, it's basically still the same. I guess now it's just you're on your own, and you have to start building.
Yeah.
So
you basically you have what's nice about it is that you were alone, but now you have a partner. So
I see, yeah.
what you could do alone was only what you could do alone, but now since you're married and you have a partner, your ability is amplified, almost doubled. And I understand why God says that he who finds a wife finds a good thing. It's because literally you find something and someone who can uplift you to a new level that you could not have done without yourself. Obviously through the help of God, that God working through your wife to help you in certain things, in certain situations. Throughout our dating phase and throughout now our marriage so far, is I can tell you that I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for her. There's certain things that she's taught me that have worked in me to make me who I am right now. And I can say the same for her confidently, that she wouldn't be this person she is if I haven't taught her certain things. So it's a teamwork thing that you need to take on together. And it's not to say, okay, you're responsible of that, you're responsible of that. Yeah, you can have those conversations. Some people are like that. So this person can take and that's okay. Everybody's different. But I think the idea is that we shouldn't separate it so much that you forget that you're actually a team and you're partners.
yeah, so I think things that also change and come into play is now money, in the estate. So now if you had your own assets, and now coming into the marriage, that would also be a discussion and conversation that needs to be had. And then practical day-to-day living would be your chores, but it's always, but that's why you have premarital counseling, so you can discuss these things beforehand, like what are your expectations in the marriage. And then of course,
is this what happens in premarital counsel?
Not only that, but definitely that's one of the things.
How long is it?
It depends. I mean, different pastors do it, and you have different courses and different pastors, they do it over different periods of time.
It should be a substantial amount of time.
Yeah, definitely.
And you shouldn't do it after you've booked the wedding venue.
Yeah, she likes to say this.
I think because you might, in marital counseling, you might just say, actually,
I can't.
No.
But then people now it's like, Flip, we've already sent out the invitations. So now we're going into this thing and we both know
Petchy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine, I'll do all the dishes.
Exactly. So that kind of thing. And then just talking about these things and then also responsibilities in the marriage, like chores, practical living day to day. I mean, some people like to do laundry, some people don't.
I think what's important as well is to realize, like she's speaking about premarital counseling and the expectations and stuff like that. But what I think is important to realize is that when it comes to marriage, there's a certain level of compromise that needs to come from both individuals. You can't have everything you want. It just doesn't work like that.
This is definitely a young people marriage masterclass. Rewatch it. If you're ever getting married, rewatch it. Watch it again and again. Yes, compromise.
So it's very important.
You can't be selfish.
You can't be selfish in marriage. It doesn't work out. It doesn't.
And just to add in, the thing is, then people practice selfishness in dating. And then they wonder why they have a hard marriage. Like, you're sowing the seeds. Like, I don't know, like people, like everything, who you are before marriage is who you're going to be after marriage. This thing is not a magical thing that's suddenly going to give you the right characteristics, the right character, the patience. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. What I like to say is like good habits breed good habits, and bad habits will also then breed bad habits.
Yeah.
So if you're in your dating phase, you're doing certain things in a certain way, it doesn't mean just because, like you're saying, you just put on a ring and you said I do, that you're going to change immediately or instantly. There's no like supernatural power that comes upon you and now you're a different person all of a sudden. You're married, you're now Mr. and Mrs, but you're this exact same person.
Or you used to cheat and have multiple partners and then think now you're going to get into marriage and you're suddenly just going to be faithful to your wife. Suddenly, like someone's just going to press a button and there you are.
That's why the premarital counseling, and also I think it's very important. Maybe let's just say this, because we're talking about young people. So maybe they don't want to get married right now. So what you can do as a young person is prepare yourself for marriage. And I think that's one thing you did really well. Like,
or just
reading
prepare
the
yourself as
books
an individual, even just as an individual,
as
so
an
that you can be a
individual.
great spouse, because
Yes.
marriage comprises
I
of
think
two
that's what I'm
individuals.
trying to say,
But
100%.
what about those girls that get disappointed? They prepare themselves and
What do they get disappointed by, in a sense?
they don't get shellacked.
Oh, they don't get chilled.
Yeah, they don't. Here she is preparing herself for marriage.
It all happened.
Has always been in the worship team. You know, her skirts have always been above her knees and everything. And then here she is. Here she is waiting for marriage, and the brothers are just going outside of the church. Should everybody be preparing for marriage? Because I mean, Paul in the Bible does say to us.
Yeah, but that's what I said as an individual. I
Yes,
said as
yes,
an
yes.
individual.
I think what we're trying to say is not, okay, let me not say prepare for marriage. Fix yourself as an individual.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know your issues.
Walk with God, and if He
Yes.
brings it upon your path.
Yes, definitely. And you know the issues you have. And right now, if whoever's watching this, if you know your issues you have, you'll know that there'll be a problem in marriage.
Or sometimes you don't know that and then you find out.
Yeah. That's fair as well.
Oh, you find out the issues in marriage.
Yeah,
like
sometimes.
you
But
they
it must
come
be
to
easier
light.
to work on a problem in marriage because you know two people are better than one.
But sometimes it's not a two people problem, it's a me problem.
I see.
And now I didn't realize it, but now marriage has brought it to light, because now there's somebody who's
Marriage amplifies who you are.
yeah.
It doesn't like, so if I'm me, I'm gonna be more me.
In the marriage.
Exactly, yeah. And
This is so intense.
It reveals, and I think that's one maybe, so if you're dating and you feel like you've opened yourself up, just get to marriage and you'll see how even more opened up you'll get. And if you're hiding yourself,
And you
then
can't hide in marriage, right?
You
It's a
can't
24
hide.
hour.
You can't hide.
You can't go sleep at mommy's house.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your friend's house. Apparently,
Yeah.
it's a big taboo in marriage to be like, oh, sleeping at a friend's.
Movies, guys.
Yeah.
Movies will lead you astray.
Hey,
you
bruh,
don't do that.
Hollywood
You have
was-
to work. The Bible says that
Yeah.
you need to solve your issues before the sun goes down. So that's a practice that we also like make.
What we always
I
try
don't
to
always
is-
make it before the sun. So
When the sun is peaking,
I'm
you're
just
like,
like, just a little, just
Lord,
a
let it stop.
We're just looking on the
Yeah,
horizon.
like I try.
Toast him till the sun goes down. No, I'm kidding.
So,
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, cool. We're going to play a game, guys.
sure.
It's a very interesting game.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you guys cards and, well, not really cards, more like little tennis boxes.
Okay.
And you're going to decide either you're going to choose the her side or the him side, right? Or the me side. Right?
Okay, cool.
So I'll give the her side to you, Pum, right? And then the him side to you. So it's either the answer can either be me
Or him.
or her, for her, yeah, or him, yeah. Cool, so I'm going to shoot the question, then you guys are going to answer. You can look at each other's answers, and then we'll continue.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Who's more romantic?
Where's the equal side?
Yeah. There's
The equal side.
honestly, it's both. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the
okay.
thing. Like in marriage, like if I can just add quickly, it's just like both people. Like like it doesn't need to always be the husband who's romantic.
Yeah.
Like
Both people need to.
both people need to add
Playing
into
games with pastors
the...
might have been a problem.
Why?
Now he's adding an extra.
Sorry,
like,
let's play the game. Let's play the game.
It's like no, life is not a game. I need to add.
Let's
Pause. They need to learn.
Yeah, go.
Who's more likely to steal all the covers on a cold night? Okay. Who wakes up first? Okay. Who stays up later? Okay. Who takes the longest to get ready? Who's more likely to lose their keys or the wallet?
These things, I don't know, hey?
Okay. Who has a bigger wardrobe?
Oh wow.
Who's needier?
Who's the one?
Media.
Like,
Dude, I'm gonna get a sermon here. Maybe
No,
we
no,
should-
we're not. Maybe just clarify. Just clarify. No sermons. Just clarify and then
I
we'll
want
answer.
these. I always just like that, but 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes, and it's an entire sermon.
No, shame. Just clarify and then we'll answer.
Clarify media in terms of like. I actually don't know because I just know the word is needy. Like who's more needy? Who's more?
Needy.
Who's more like, no, I want to spend time with you. No, I have to go to band practice. No, I don't want you to go to band practice.
Okay. I would say yeah.
Okay. Who's better at keeping secrets?
Better keeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's more organized?
I think we're both solidly organized. Yeah.
Wow, you both did it at the same time, guys.
Yeah.
You didn't even look at each other.
Definitely a split,
Okay. Who is messier?
I don't know. I don't
Split.
think anyone's.
Yeah,
No one is
split.
really messy. Like we clean up after ourselves. I can't blame. I don't have that husband that leaves socks in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, this is good. Who has the best style?
Yeah. Nah.
Ah!
Nah. She
I saw him.
The last one. Who controls the credit card?
Who controls the credit card?
I'm kidding.
Nah.
There was 7 coming here.
Nah. That one is
Question is
it's
that-
honestly it's split. So we
Is it split?
manage the finances together.
Yeah.
Okay.
but we're very-
Alright. Okay. This game's it was very interesting to
was
play this game
interesting.
with
That's
married
cool.
people. Alright, cool guys. So you guys have got a YouTube channel, and I mean,
Yes,
we're
we
sort of
do.
rounding up promise of success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the goal of the YouTube channel? Are you guys trying to educate us on?
Yeah, so the goal of the YouTube channel is basically just to talk about our journey and to talk about the things that we're passionate about. So we're passionate about marriage, relationships, helping people just generally in life. Passionate about finances as well. Like speaking to people, like just teaching like the basic financial literacy that people require, like in order just to make like decent decisions. Like we're not gonna dive deep. Well, maybe we will eventually, but we're not gonna dive deep like technicals. Like we want people just to understand like have a good relationship. I don't know who said this, but I like what they're saying. Like you need to have a good relationship with money.
I think it
Like
was Nicolette.
yeah, right. Because we actually watched quite a few of her videos, but you have to have a good relationship with money because
Yeah.
it's important. Because
Very true.
I mean, it's key, honestly.
I'm definitely.
Maybe you could add there because
I actually
Yeah.
watched one of your episodes. Very, very interesting.
Oh, is it?
which one did you watch actually?
I watched the one where you guys were. It was the first one, I think.
I think that was
yeah.
dating.
What
Was
we
that
did after
dating?
first year.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
our
yeah.
first year in marriage.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
our
was
first year
very
in marriage.
interesting. And I think I'll be watching more of the dating ones. I need to
Yeah.
take notes.
Yeah, so
Need
I think
to
just
watch
to
with the, yeah.
just add to what Puma is saying. I think because people want to lose weight,
Yeah.
or they want to eat right, then they get a fitness coach.
Right.
You know, then they need help with finances, then they get a financial advisor.
Right.
Then when it comes to relationships, I don't know. We're like it's just all
Play the game.
Yeah,
Play
you
the
shouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Trouble that person.
Everything.
And sometimes maybe you know what? Maybe sometimes it's actually people are being genuine, but they just don't know how to do it. Yeah, they be genuinely wrong. They don't know how to do it. So
And also, I think the solutions that we have out there are very vague about marriage. Like it's very, very, very vague. Like love your wife. Like, what do you mean?
What
like,
does that
you know?
look like?
Yeah.
How
What
do you
does
love
it?
your
Yes.
wife?
Yeah. So I think that's why your YouTube channel is so important. So guys, check it out. Promise of success.
Yes,
Right?
yeah,
Yes.
Promise
And
of
put your
Success.
names.
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. That's very cool. In closing, what's your favorite verse and why? I think that's a good way to close.
Oof. A favorite verse for me is quite tricky, honestly. I don't have a favorite verse specifically. I have a favorite book in the Bible, and that's Nehemiah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
The story, man. The story is just incredible.
Nehemiah is the builder.
Yes.
He had to rebuild the walls.
Rebuild the walls.
And had to get everybody to come in and rebuild.
That's I love that story. It's really incredible just how he had a compassion. It talks about how he had a compassion and an empathy for the broken walls, and he spoke to whoever he spoke to, got what needed to be done. He went there and he got the job done. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just like I really enjoy that story, and I think I'm trying as my life as well, just to live out, just to help other people rebuild or build, you know, what maybe has been broken down or what has been lost or whatever the case is, just to rebuild. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, my favorite verse is all of them, but my favorite story.
Wow!
I can tell you my
We
favorite
have a new
story.
line, guys. All of them. All of them. Every single verse.
All of them. My favorite
Jesus
story.
wept.
That's it.
I think that's the shortest verse of the Bible.
For me, my favorite story is the one with the prophet Amos. So what happened with Amos? Amos is one of the Old Testament prophets that was called by God. Right. And you know, God be like that sometimes, find a random person like you, go speak. So now Amos has to now deliver a message to the kings and tell them, guys, this is what God is saying into the people and whatever. Now the people are fighting him because they're like, hey, you're not going to come here and tell us these things, you know? And then Amos, this is my favorite verse, I think. I'm just not sure where it is exactly. And it's in Amos. Can't remember where it is exactly. So Amos is like, guys, can't they... I was neither the son of a prophet and neither am I a prophet. Like, so basically he was saying, I'm not doing this because it's a generational thing, because my dad was a pastor and now I am a prophet as well. It's not a generational thing. It's got nothing to do with that. I was busy tending sheep. Like, he had his thing that he was doing. So maybe in my modern day, it'd be like, I don't know, I was busy studying law. And then God called me to come do this. And I'm doing this because that's what God has called me to do. So I think for me, that's just like one of my favorite, because I just love the fact that, you know, sometimes God calls people, and sometimes people want to shoot the messenger. And sometimes it's like, it's really not your message that you're delivering. It comes from God, but it will always be for your benefit, and it will always be to help you. Like, there's nothing that God has ever asked us to do that has never ever been for our benefit. Even if we couldn't see it in that moment, later on, in retrospect, you're 100%. Like, wow, I could have been like this if I just didn't do whatever. So I think that would be my favorite story, Amos. I was neither the son of a prophet, like God just called me. I was busy tending sheep, minding my own business. And God was just like, you, please go tell my people. Come through. It'd be like that though. Don't be like that.
Thank you guys. Thank you for coming through.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
For opening up your marriage and telling us about all these lessons. Like, there's a lot to process. But thank you. Guys, you heard it today from them. We spoke a lot about Christian dating, courtship, and relationships and marriage. And I hope you've learned. I hope you go back and re-look at this. If you're Christian and you're looking at entering a relationship, look at marriage, go back, listen, and go and follow the YouTube channel to learn more about how to do it the right way, because it's so important. If you're a believer, it's important for you to do it God's way. Thank you so much for tuning in. Cheers.
Cheers.
And the time